Hello and welcome. So, as promised, I'm going to do a video all about Scorpio season. So, I'm going to do a reading on it, but before I get into the reading, I'm just going to talk about Scorpio season, what this season brings us, reflections on it, things you can do, like practical stuff. I'm going to give you like tangible things. Um, and the reason I wanted to do this is because, well, first of all, I do just like talking about each of the different seasons that we're in, where the sun is positioned, right? So Scorpio season, what that means is that the sun is in Scorpio. So of course there's still other planetary sort of transits happening in that time, but I still like to think of things in terms of like the sun's seasons, and we are currently in Scorpio season. So I like to talk about Scorpio season because I think it is probably one of the most misunderstood in terms of the value that it brings. Because in our culture, as I believe it anyway, um, we don't really recognize the value of Scorpio because we are a very, I would say, like a summer oriented culture, certainly in the West anyway, where we are really interested in being outward. We are really, not interested in, but we value this sort of more action oriented, doing, pushing, striving, productivity, like yang kind of energy. And Scorpio season is not really that. So when you think about when Scorpio season occurs, like we're in it now, so it's the kind of like mid autumn. Autumn as a season is a season that we don't really, again, in my opinion, value as a society. And we just kind of dismiss it, or we kind of like see it as a bit of a nuisance instead of seeing like that all of the different seasons, all of the different cycles bring their own magic and their own gifts. So I wanted to kind of shed a little bit of light on Scorpio. So as we know, like in this time of year, when you look outside, you notice that things are starting to get darker. The days are getting shorter. The leaves are falling from the trees. They're continuing to fall. We start to see the last few leaves falling off the trees. Like maybe not quite yet, but towards the end of Scorpio season. Um, and this I think is very much reflective of like what happens in us too. So what it's sort of showing us, and what I love about nature being so literal in this way, is the gift of letting go, the gift of understanding the importance of death so that we can be reborn again. And this is very, very Scorpio. This is kind of like one of the main things about Scorpio, is like the death and rebirth cycle that we all must go through. But in our culture, I think we are so afraid of death. Death is very taboo. Death is very um, something that we don't like to talk about or think about. And what we don't recognize is the importance of it and how we can actually celebrate it and understand why we need it. We can't always be on and growing and doing and pushing. We need to also let things die to make space for the new. So, one of the things that I really like about Scorpio and this time of year is that what it recognizes is that in order for us to continue to like plant seeds and grow and push forward, we need to rest and regenerate and recuperate. Nature understands this by allowing things to sort of fall from the tree elegantly. I always think the leaves falling from the tree is like a great kind of metaphor for like the ease at which nature has in terms of like, no, that's dead now, I don't need that, and it just lets it go. So that because it was considered that this time of year was actually like the end of the year, and then it allowed for things to like, it's actually like the new beginning is winter, in a sense, where winter is like the time where we rest and recuperate, because without that we will burn out and we don't have the energy to sustain ourselves to continue going forward. And this is very much what Scorpio season wants for us, is to enjoy and recognize the value in sort of shedding and letting go and getting ready to nest, getting ready to rest and recuperate. And once again, in our culture, it's very like that's not productive, so ignore your natural instinct to withdraw and to go inward. You need to continue to be on. This is very much highlighted by, in my opinion, like this very strange notion we have around starting the new year in the middle of winter, in January the 1st. It's like, astrologically speaking, makes no sense to me. To me, the new year really is like end of March, April, you know, because that's still a time where we're resting. That's still a time where we're gathering ourselves to get ready for the busyness and the aliveness and openness of summer. And yes, well, that is an amazing time. We can't always be in that place, and it's like, how do we enjoy this time instead of feeling guilty around this time of like, oh, I should be doing more. And it's like, no, like, we can reclaim our power around this time and actually see the value in it. So I love this. And I think it also speaks as well, like, just something that's coming to my mind as I'm saying this, like, that a lot of us are afraid to go inward and retreat and be alone with ourselves, because we find it's that we're not really comfortable with being by ourselves. I don't think this is true for everybody, but culturally speaking, it's like there's a fear of being on our own, because then we might actually discover like there's some dark stuff there. And again, this very much speaks to Scorpio, this like going into the darkness, both literally metaphorically, and like this willingness to face our shadows. So again, this is very Scorpio season stuff. So in terms of getting into the more practical ways of honoring this season, is to do shadow work. Now, I talked about this in my last video if you watched it a little bit, but yeah, this is a great time to do shadow work, because what Scorpio isn't afraid of, where I think a lot of us are, if we don't have lots of Scorpio placements or our culture doesn't really encourage this, is to look at the darker aspects of our human selves. Because if we don't ever look at the darker aspects, then we don't ever get to like shine a light on the things that are actually like ruling our lives. Like the unconscious is what really creates our lives. Everything is born from the unconscious, and shadow work is about getting to know our unconscious, going under the hood, facing the shadows, the parts of ourselves that we don't deem like desirable, the parts of ourselves that we don't deem acceptable. Now, if you want to kind of understand a little bit more about shadow work, I have done a video specifically on this if you haven't seen it already. So check that out. I'll leave a link for that somewhere in the description if you want to go deeper into shadow work. But this is a really good time to do it. So beyond shadow work, other ways of really honouring this season is to develop a more witchy practice. So again, like we know Halloween is in Scorpio season, no coincidence there, which is a very like witchy time, right? And it's very witchy when you look around, like the aesthetics are very witchy, like we have pumpkins, we have Halloween, we have all of this like dressing up at Halloween as well, like as witches, and other things obviously. So developing a deeper spiritual practice that allows you to connect more to your own inner knowing and intuition. So if you don't already, like, it's a really good time to even like start reading tarot for yourself, or an oracle. Like you could just do really simple, like one tarot card pull a day, to sort of reflect on something in your inner world. Because again, what tarot does, it's a reflection of something that we might not be conscious of. Again, very Scorpio, right? Bringing the unconscious into consciousness. Now, I believe that we struggle with this socially or culturally is because it's not exactly like fun. Like, I mean, it can be, but it's not considered to be fun, right? It's not light and easy breezy. It's deep, it's intense, it's there's again very Scorpio themes here. Like, it's revealing, right? It's like Scorpio. If you know anyone with like strong Scorpio placements, they love to go deep. They'll talk about like the deepest, darkest secrets. Like they want to know like your like deepest secret, right? Like, and they'll ask those really probing, sort of penetrating questions. That's so very Scorpio. So I think we often see this as being a little bit like, whoa, like intense, right? Because it is. But the value of it is like when we allow ourselves to go there, then we get an enormous amount of power. And Scorpio season really wants us to reclaim our power and turn our pain into purpose. Again, this is the process of alchemy, which is again very magical. It's a really magical time, so I love this. I am a Scorpio moon, so I am biased, and I have Scorpio placements. But like, that's the bit that I think that gets missed of that sort of, yeah, when we go into the dark, we then actually can alchemize that into power, and turn our pain into power. So that's a really, again, another way of honoring this season, is to look at the things that, our shame, our fear, our hurts, and how can we turn that into power? How can we use this to propel us into like better futures? So that's very Scorpio. So something I also wanted to touch on as well, like, it's just as an interesting side note. So like I touched on there, we do have Halloween at this time of year. This was also known as Samhain in pagan sort of culture. And I just thought I just found this out like a few months ago, and I just thought it was like really interesting. But the reason why we dress up around Halloween is because it was said that the veils between our world and like the like other realms was the thinnest. So it was the idea basically was that other spirits were able to get into our world more easily that might not be very welcoming, sort of, they might be like darker spirits. So we dressed up as them in order to protect ourselves from being like trick like having them like trick us. So essentially, like, it was believed that if you dressed up like the spirits, like we dress up as ghosts and witches and things, then they wouldn't see us as a threat and would leave us alone. So I just thought it was really interesting. So that's why we do that. Anyway, so what what I will do now is I will get into a card reading around this season of the collective energies of Scorpio season and see what comes up. Collective energies. Ooh, it flew right out. That was like loads though. That was a lot. Any more? Nope. I think that was all of them. There's a few too many, but I have had a peek, see if any of them come back out. Very jumpy. Let's try that again, shall we? Yeah, that one was there. I'll take that one. Collective energies of Scorpio season, please. Yeah. Ooh, I like this. Oh, yeah, I love this. Yes. Okay, this is such a fascinating read. So we've got Knight of Discs. This is the first one that came out like twice. Queen of Wands and Two of Discs, change. Now, I love that the change card is here as well, because again, this is very much like a theme that's been going on and on and on, is like change and transformation. Like Scorpio is also the phoenix, like the sort of like the ashes, what am I trying to say? Like rising from the ashes, phoenix rising from the ashes. So it's very much like things must burn and be destroyed so that they can be alchemized and turned into something like better, more powerful, more helpful, these kinds of things. So again, this very much like, and I'm really drawn to the snake on this card as well. Like, so even though like I know a Scorpio is not a snake, it does give me like really snake kind of energy. And with these two here together as well, it's like really powerful. Look at the energies of both of these cards. Like they're both really in their power. It's about reclaiming our power this season, which is again very much Like, the cards didn't need to tell me that. That is what the Scorpio wants for us. It's like, but in order to reclaim our power, we have to go into the darkness. We have to honor darkness. We have to honor our like, we have to be okay with being on our own to access our own deep inner knowing, and taking that time to go inward, taking that time to like compost the like, you know, turn that kind of like dirt into gold, right? So that is very much, yeah. And I just love the Queen of Wands here. Like, Queen of Wands again, it's very much, she is not like, as an archetype, she's not like a lovely like gentle being. She's powerful, she's fiery. Scorpio is also ruled by Mars and Pluto, and Mars is fire, you know, fiery energy. Okay, so how to work with Scorpio season, please. All about reclaiming that power and allowing the change to take place, allowing things to fall away. We've been very much doing this anyway, but it's just continuing this theme. How to work with Scorpio season, please, from collective. It's also as well like this sort of, sorry, I'm going to stop that for a second. So what's coming to me as well is like, the stepping into our power is also around recognizing where we give our power away. This is another really good way of honoring this season. Where do we give our power away rather than taking full responsibility for our own lives? Taking full responsibility for what is already here rather than blaming externally. Like, Scorpio asks us to go in and be like, what part of me is creating this situation? What part of me is, again, this is shadow work, right? It's like, instead of being like, this is happening to me, and not taking responsibility for where we are, it's like, what part of me is actually entirely satisfied with the situation that I am currently in as it stands right now? And in order to get those answers, we need to retreat and go inward and get really honest with ourselves, and to allow ourselves to see those parts that we don't necessarily feel comfortable seeing, without shame, right? It's not about like seeing a part of you that you maybe didn't see before and going, oh no, like, I can't believe that's me, like, that's awful, I can't believe I really think that. It's like going in with this curiosity, going in with this like, that's so interesting, like, that makes so much sense, and like being really compassionate to all of the parts, not just the parts that you deem acceptable about yourself. Like, that's really what this season is about. Because if you see it and then feel more shame around it, then it just puts it back in the shadow. It doesn't get alchemized. It gets alchemized by acceptance and embracing, and like, how can we use those parts? How can we like be grateful for those parts even, and like love those parts and find them adorable, and find them like in like see what they were trying to help us with, you know? Like, for example, if you may, like, let's say you wanted to bring, I don't know, a new job in or something that fulfills you, and then you discover that there's a part of you that actually doesn't want that, because then you're afraid of responsibility that might come with it, or you're afraid that, again, this is the fears, right? Going into the fears. What is the fear behind the thing that you say you want? So that could be like fear of responsibility around, yeah, what if I actually get the job and now I have more responsibility? Or what if people don't like me because now I've got this job, people are going to think I'm really big-headed, or that kind of a thing. It's like, oh, like, there's so much innocence in that part of me that doesn't want the thing that I say I want, right? Which is the fulfilling job. It's like, oh, of course, like, there's other parts that are conflicting here that don't want that. And this is what you call a divided will, where there's a conscious part of you wants the fulfilling job, and then the unconscious part which we're now bringing to light, is like, actually I kind of don't, because it would mean I'd be ostracized from my friends. It would mean I would have to work harder, and I don't really want to, and that's kind of hard to admit, like that's kind of scary. And like, that's the shadow work, is to reveal those parts, because you want the job, but what is it that's getting in the way of that? And this is a good time to excavate those parts and give them love. And like, I think the access point here, I have done a video on this, but I just think it's worth mentioning here, and I'm on a roll now, so I'm gonna lean in, is to find it just really innocent and adorable, because like, yeah, like that makes sense that there's parts of me that actually doesn't want this success, right? Of course. And I can love those parts instead of being like, God, why am I like that? That's so stupid. It's something wrong with shame. Like, no, like the point is to give it love, because then it sets it free when we love it. It's not, we integrate that part into us, as opposed to just throwing it back in the shadow and it being unconscious again. So anyway, right, went on a tangent there. Let's come back to the reading. Let me know if that was helpful anyway. I am curious if you have any questions around shadow work. Whoops. There. I love this. So, Sun in Scorpio card. Pleasure. How to work with this energy. Yeah, accessing your pleasure. I love that it's literally a Sun in Scorpio card. That's the sun glyph there, and that is the Scorpio glyph there. Yeah, so how to work with it is about, what I'm getting with this is what your real pleasure is, not your socially acceptable pleasure, but your darker pleasures. Like, what is it that you are, what you really want, not what you think you should want. Interesting. Okay. Getting really honest with yourself about what it is that you truly desire. What do you truly, and it might go a bit like, oh, shit. You know what I mean? That kind of thing. That's Scorpio for you. Okay, so what is this season here to teach us collectively? I love this. Queen of Discs. We have a lot of court cards here. Lots of queens, knights. Well, there's a few of them together. Again, I'm just getting like power. She's a very powerful, like, look at the artwork on this card. And she's, and I also feel like that for some of you, there's like something around money here, because this, I'm really drawn to this pentacle that she's holding here. Yeah, something to teach us about how, again, where we give away our power is what I get with this. This is a Capricorn card. That is the goat of Capricorn right there. And with it being discs, discs is like the earth element, Capricorn. So yeah, what I really am kind of getting with this is like, let me feel into this for a second. Let me have a little look overall. It's about our physical world, right? With it being the Queen of Discs, this is Earth. Earth is a material world. It's matter. It's physical matter. So with it being something to teach us, it's like how we are more powerful over our physical worlds than we realize. Like, we are the ultimate, like, dreamer of the dream. This is getting like really deep actually, which again is no surprise. But like, it's like this recognition. I mean, we've got the Knight of Discs and the Queen of Discs. There's really something about the manifestation of something real in our real physical world and our real physical lives, and how we are actually the ones that are in complete power of that. Oh, let's see if there's another card that wants to come out around this. I feel like there's more here. Such an interesting reading so far. I love this. What is it here to teach us this season? again, gain, discs, again, money. I said about money, didn't I? Like, this card is to me such a money card, right? Because it's the 9 of discs, gain, and you've got all of these different coins here. I'm really, like, I don't always think of this card as being like a money card, but in this context, with there being so many, like, how it's sort of dignified with these together, there's something about our material manifestation around how we are more powerful than we realize in terms of what it is that we manifest physically, is what I'm getting with this. And I do think for some of you, if you go into this work and you do this shadow work, that you will be richer for it. Like, some of you, but like literally in terms of like monetary richness, but also just in terms of more abundance, more goodness in general in your life. Which again is the promise of shadow work, is that your more riches are to be gained, right? Gain. That says gain at the bottom. Ooh, I love this. Ooh, yeah. We've got like we've got 3 of my favourite cards here. I love these cards so much. I am a bit biased though, I do love Scorpio season. So witchy. Okay, so what can we expect on the other side of Scorpio season, please? Yeah, pleasure is your access point. And also, like, Scorpio knows pleasure because it's like, it's kind of associated with sex. It's like, it rules the 8th house in astrology, which is the house of death, right? A lot of the big thing we talked about, but also sex, which is like pleasure as well. The occult, joint resources, so other people's money. Again, there could be something here for some of you around getting, like, again, this is just a separate message, it's not for everybody, but Scorpio season can be a good time to start a joint venture, a joint, like collect, I'm trying to say, like, it's to do with like working with other people with their money as well, and like that coming together, so that's a good time of year for that, starting joint ventures, like business ventures with people. Okay, so what can we expect on the other side of this season, Scorpio season, please? What's on the other side? Oh, I love this. The Star. Renewed faith, renewed optimism. It feels very, like, the Star is Aquarius's card, that's the Aquarius glyph there. And Aquarius is all about the future. So, like, a brighter future. Like, that's such a nice, like, what can we expect? Like, a brighter future. And yeah, this sort of, when we go into the darkness, it might feel a little sticky, intense, deep, and for some of you that's going to be very comfortable. If you've already got a lot of Scorpio placements, this is like your bag, right? But for those that don't have a lot of that, can be quite uncomfortable because it's like, oh, I don't want to like go there. But when we do, then on the other side of it is like all of this like magic, all of this lightness, because we can't have the light without the dark, and we just have to go there sometimes, and this is the time to do it. So that was a little bit of an unexpected reading. That wasn't quite how I thought this video would go. I was sort of just let it lead me, which again is very Scorpio, because Scorpio is very intuitively led. It's not always about this like structured thing, and I could really feel the energy there of like, I'm just going to go where it's taking me. Like, even the questions themselves aren't questions I'd usually ask, but that was what my intuition wanted to ask. So here we are. So let me know in the comments how that was for you. I hope you enjoyed that. And if you have any questions around anything that I've said, like, I always love answering questions. I do Q&As and stuff as well. Like, if people ask me questions, I will answer them in different videos. So yeah, so do let me know. And before I go, I do just want to mention again, so something I've put out as an offer, I'll put this in the description as well. I am currently open and available for career natal chart readings. So this is an offer where I will do a one-to-one with you, where I will look at your birth chart around your career and like how you can align to it, how can you focus on your sort of strengths and talents within your career if you're a little bit unsure about what you want to do in your career. Again, there's more in the description below to sort of get a really clear idea of what this will cover. But that is something I'm putting out right now. I'm really excited about it. I've done quite a few recently, and it's just been excuse me, sorry. It's been absolutely amazing. Like, I've really, really loved doing it. We've gone so deep onto it, and I think it's been really helpful for people. So if that is something that you're interested in, leave a comment and I will get back to you as soon as I can on that. And if you want any more information, just let me know. So thank you so much for being here, as always, and I will see you on the next one.